Alright guys, I am back once again with another deck profile for Cardfight Vanguard Dear Days on Nintendo Switch. This time we got version 1 of my Lyrical Monasterio Petralka Highlander deck. So this time version 1 is actually everything through the second additional card pass, so through the booster set 10, which, just to clarify here, Petralka herself is actually included in the first additional card pass. However, the second additional card pass, while it didn't include any dedicated lyrical sets, there were a handful of lyrical promo cards that were included into some of those boosters. And one of those promo cards was actually the only dedicated support that Petralka has access to, in Dear Days at least. And frankly, I just didn't want to build this deck without that card. So I decided to go ahead and make this my first, post-card pass 2 deck. But anyway, this deck is focused on Petralka, one of the standalone promo bosses. And this deck has been dubbed Highlander by the fans, since just like Highlander, there can be only one. As in, one copy of every card in the deck, besides Petralka herself. Since Petralka does check the top 7 of your deck and requires all 7 of those cards besides herself to have different names in order to function. So a pretty unique deck, obviously, very high RNG factor since you're only running one copy of almost every card in the deck. But it can be pretty unique and pretty fun to play. So anyway, we'll be going through the deck as always, and then we'll show it off in one card fight for you to see it in action. So starting first with the Ride deck. Now, like I mentioned, Petralka is a standalone promo boss, so she doesn't have a dedicated ride line, so we have kind of scrapped one together here. But anyway, our grade 0 starter is Cutie Topic Rabina. So it's wrote upon if you in second draw a card, same starter skill as always, of course. This is the starter for Herminia, which is a deck I actually don't play. So I decided to just go with her starter since I do like her artwork. Next for the grade 1, we have Proof of Hard Work Willista. So we are running the grade 1 and grade 2 from the Willista ride line, since they're pretty much our best option, almost the only option. Pretty much just her ride line or Kyrie's are the only generic ones. But anyway, she has her auto ability that says when this unit is rode upon, you put one card from your hand into your soul. To search your deck for up to one gem card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. And then she has our second auto ability when she's on Rearguard Circle that says when you play in order, you can Soul Blast one, and this unit gets power plus 5,000 until end of turn. So she pretty much never ends up on Rearguard Circle, so that second ability isn't used. The first ability does let you put one card from hand into soul to search out your gem card, once we are just running one copy of one of the gems in this deck specifically for this ride line. So it's a ±0, but it gets the gem into your hand guaranteed, and it does give you another soul resource. So it does set you up for the grade 2. Speaking of which, the grade 2 is Expanding World Willista. So her auto ability says once per turn, when you play a gem card, you draw a card. So again, you search out the gem with a grade 1, you play it, and then you get to draw it or replace it. So again, it's a ±0 since you are going -1 to play the gem in the first place. But it does let you cycle through your deck a little bit. And she also has our continuous ability when she's on Guardian Circle that says for every 2 gem cards in your drop, this unit gets shield plus 5,000. So this ability absolutely is never used, since one, not only does she never end up on Guardian Circle, but also we only have 1 gem card in the deck, so there's no way to get 2 into the drop to even gain the extra shield. So yeah, that second skill is definitely totally useless. But then we have the grade 3, which is Relation Weaver Petralka. So her auto ability says at the end of the battle, this unit attacked a Vanguard. You can counterblast one to reveal the top 7 cards of your deck. And if all of the revealed cards not named Relation Weaver Petralka have different card names, you choose up to one of the revealed cards, call it the rearguard circle, and it gets power plus 10,000 until end of turn. And if you chose Relation Weaver Petralka, you can ride it as stand instead of calling it the rearguard circle, and it gets drive -1 until end of turn. And then you shuffle your deck. So a pretty cool ability letting you look at the top 7 cards of your deck, and as long as all of them besides Petralka herself do have different names, then you can either superior call one of them to rearguard circle and give it an extra 10k, so you get an extra rearguard attack and potentially a +1 onto your board, assuming you have an open front row rearguard circle, which we have quite a few ways in this deck to empty out that front row. Or if you get lucky and find a copy of Petralka herself, you can superior ride into her, and you'll still gain the 10k power, and you'll still get a +1 since you will get that additional drive check from your extra Vanguard attack as well. So either way, this ability is a +1, and it grants you an extra attack either from a rearguard or from your Vanguard. And additionally, if you do get lucky and superior ride into another Petralka, as long as you have the resources to keep paying the cost, you can potentially use her skill again and get even more attacks out of it. So this isn't going to happen generally, since it requires, a massive amount of resources and a lot of really good luck. But technically you can potentially get up to 5 Vanguard attacks in one turn with this skill. Now, realistically, that's never going to happen. Most of the time you're going to get 2 to 3, usually. However, that is still pretty good, usually giving you, 4 to 5 attacks per turn, potentially more depending on what you get. So this can be a pretty strong deck. It can have pretty decent rush potential, again, if you get the right cards. So obviously there is a very, very, very high RNG factor on this deck, depending on what you find in the top 7. So if you don't mind a little inconsistency and, you have fun with those sort of high roll kind of decks, this is a deck that you'll definitely have a lot of fun with. So that is the ride deck. Moving on to the main deck. First off, for the grade 3s, we of course have our 3 additional copies of Relation Weaver Petralka. No fancy SP or double frame rare or anything for her, since she's just a promo boss. But obviously we definitely need those 3 extra copies of her, not only for regular persona riding, but also for her skill in order to superior ride. So next up, we have 4 copies of Dearest Affinity Lyset. So this card is the one dedicated support promo card that I mentioned earlier that is in the 2nd additional card pass. It is also the only card in the deck besides Petralka herself that we are running multiples of, which we are allowed to do without fucking everything up, thanks to her first ability, which is her continuous skill when she's in the deck, that says, this card becomes Relation Weaver Petralka. So her name actually changes to Petralka's name while she's inside the deck, so if you reveal multiple copies of her, you still will be able to use Petralka's ability. And not only that, since she counts as Petralka herself, you can actually choose Lyset to superior ride into off of Petralka's ability. So that definitely makes that ability a lot more consistent, giving you potentially 7 targets in your deck in order to superior ride into, as opposed to just the 3 that you would normally have. Now, if you superior ride into her, that's going to end your number of Vanguard attacks that turn on her attack, since obviously you won't be able to use Petralka's skill again, since she won't be your Vanguard anymore. But being able to more consistently get that extra Vanguard attack and that extra drive check is definitely very helpful for this deck, to the point where I didn't really want to play this deck at all without access to this card. So definitely very vital support for this deck. So she also has her auto ability when she's on Vanguard Circle that says, at the end of your turn, choose a Relation Weaver Petralka from your soul and ride it as rest. So that skill's just to reset you back into your Petralka at the end of the turn if you do superior ride into her. So you'll be set up for next turn to use Petralka's skill again. And then she also has a continuous ability when she's on rearguard circle that says during your turn, if you have a Vanguard with Petralka in its card name, this unit gets power plus 5,000. So just a basic power up ability, though it is pretty nice if you draw into her or whatever and have to normal call her. She is not totally vanilla on rearguard circle as well, since she can be an 18k beater. So overall, very, very nice card. So next for the grade 3s, we have one copy of Detour Together Elvie. So she has her continuous ability when she's on front row rearguard circle that says all of your rearguards with different card names as this unit cannot be chosen by your opponent's card effects. So just a nice little protection ability. Obviously all your other rearguards are going to have different names from her since she's only one copy in the deck. So she can have protect your other units on your board. And she also has her auto ability that says when this unit's attack hits a Vanguard, you may countercharge 1. So nice little pressure countercharge option between potentially using Petralka's ability multiple times in one turn, plus some other counterblast abilities in the deck. Having that option to get that resource back can be very helpful. So next we got one copy of Capriccio of Circulating Star, Ingrid. So her auto ability, when this unit is placed on rearguard circle other than from hand, you countercharge 1, choose one of your other rearguards in the same column as this unit, and stand it. So this card can just be a good rearguard target to superior call off of Petralka's ability if you don't find any copies of Petralka or Lysette in the top 7, but you find her, you can superior call her to rearguard. You get the counter charge off of it, essentially making Petralka free for that turn. And you also get to stay in the booster behind her as well to give you another full powered attack. So overall it just flows very nicely with this deck. And she also has her second auto ability that says when this unit attacks, this unit gets power plus 5,000 until end of that battle. And at the end of that battle you put this unit on the bottom of your deck. So that is a -1 after she attacks, but she gains the extra 5k, so again she's at least an 18k beater on your board, 28k if you superior called her off of Petralka. And while it is a minus to bottom deck herself, that does open up one of your front row rearguard circles. So if you just drew into her normally, you could call her, attack with her before your Vanguard, send her to the bottom, and then when you attack with Petralka, if you end up having to superior call a rearguard, you already have that open circle. So again, it just fits very nicely into what this deck is trying to do. So next we have one copy of Selfie Practice Annalise. So her auto ability, at the end of the battle this unit attacked while boosted, you can put this unit into your soul to choose one of your rearguards, and it gets power plus 5,000 until end of turn. So this is just another way to empty out one of your front row rearguard circles, again in case you need a superior call off of Petralka's ability. Again, it is a minus, but it gives one of your other units a little extra power, and it becomes a soul resource, which, you know, since you're superior riding so much off of Petralka's ability, soul is pretty much never an issue with this deck. But becoming a resource is better than nothing. So yeah, just mainly another option to empty out that front row. So next we have one copy of Stronger Yearning in the Heart, Florenzia. So her auto ability, when this unit is placed on rearguard circle other than from hand, until end of turn when your opponent would call cards from hand to guardian circle during the battle this unit attacked, they must call 2 or more at the same time. So again, this is just another good superior call target for Petralka's ability. If you call her from the deck, she gets a little guard restrict ability, forcing them to guard 2 or more cards. So she'll be at a minimum of 23 off of Petralka's ability, 33 with Persona Ride, and potentially a boost behind her as well. So she can hit pretty decent numbers and just have a little guard restrict. If you do draw into her normally and call her from hand, then she is just vanilla. So if you draw into her, I usually just use her for discard fodder or whatever. But if you do need her for that superior call option, she can be a decent rear guard attack. So then lastly for the grade 3s, we do have one copy of the Regales piece, normal order, Gradius Greydall. So this is the first time I've featured a Regales piece. Regales pieces are just special order cards that are very powerful, and you can only have one of them in your deck and use them one time during a fight. So this one allows you to play it if you have a grade 3 Vanguard with Persona Ride and you did not ride this turn, and it lets you activate Persona Ride. So this is just another option to get your Persona Ride off, which can be pretty important in this deck, since you are potentially superior riding into your Persona Ride copies with Petralka's ability during the battle phase. That may not leave you with any copies in your hand to Persona Ride into normally during your ride phase. So having this card in your hand as a backup option to still get that Persona Ride bonus can be very helpful. So that is all the grade 3s. Moving on to the grade 2s. First off, we have one copy of Hoppin' Stellar Melty. So, of course, she has her friend ability, which is irrelevant in this deck. And she also has her auto ability that says when this unit's placed on rearguard circle during your main phase, you can counterblast one to choose up to one card with grade equal to or less than your Vanguard from your hand and call it to rearguard circle. And if you called a card, draw a card. So she's just a counterblast one for a call one and draw one. So just a simple +1 ability for this deck. Does cost another counterblast, but being a nice generic plus engine for the deck is very helpful. Next up, we have one copy of Charming Style Cecilia. So her auto ability, when this unit is placed on rearguard circle from hand, if you have 3 or more other rearguards, you can counterblast one and draw a card. So again, another generic draw engine with a counterblast cost. It does require you to have 3 or more rearguards out on your board, so you need a little bit of a setup in order to get her. She also has to be called from hand, so you can't superior call her off Petralka's skill and get this ability. But it is just another nice plus option for this deck. Next up, we have one copy of Especial Days Faustina. So her auto ability says when this unit attacks, this unit gets power plus 2,000 until end of that battle for each of your other units. So she's an 8k base, but you'll always at least have your Vanguard, so she'll be at a minimum of 10k. With a full board, she'll be at 18k. So she's just a good beat stick for the deck. Next, we have one copy of Dedicated Serenade Eleanor. So her auto ability says when this unit attacks, you can Soul Blast 2, and this unit gets power plus 15,000 until end of that battle. And at the end of that battle, put this unit on the top of your deck. So again, just another good beat stick, being able to gain 15k, making her at least a 25k beater for that attack. She costs Soul Blast 2, but again, we have a surplus of soul in this deck, so that shouldn't be a problem. She does put herself on the top of the deck at the end of that battle. So if you attack with her before your Vanguard to open up that rearguard circle, that does guarantee that at least one of your drive checks will not be a trigger. Or if you attack with her after your Vanguard, that guarantees that your next damage check won't be a trigger as well. So do keep that in mind when playing her. So next we have one copy of Hydrangea Awaiting Clear Weather Feline. So her auto ability says when this unit is placed on rearguard circle by your grade 3 or greater Vanguard's ability, this unit gets power plus 10,000 until end of turn. So once again, another superior call target for Petralka's ability. You call her off of that skill and she'll be at a minimum of 30k on her own, 40k with a Persona Ride. So yeah, just another good beat stick option. Next we have one copy of Permeating Kindness Paylene. So her auto skill, when this unit is placed on rearguard circle during your battle phase, this unit gets power plus 5,000 until end of turn. So again, very similar to Feline, although slightly weaker, gaining only 5k instead of 10k. But again, just another superior call beat stick option for Petralka's skill. So then lastly for the grade 2s, I am running one copy of the normal order Thoughts into Forms. So if you have 6 or more units, you can play this with a Soul Blast 2, and it lets you countercharge 1. So yet another countercharging option for the deck. Again, we have a surplus of soul, so that shouldn't be a problem. It does require you to have 6 or more units, so you do need to fill up your entire field before you'll be able to play this card. And it is a minus just to get a countercharge. But if you're desperate for that extra resource in order to use Petralka's skill again, then it can be worth it, especially since that counterblast will get you your +1 right back. So still can be a nice resource gaining option. So that's all the grade 2s. Moving on to the grade 1s. First off, we have one copy of Cooling Heart Yuika. So she has her auto ability that says once per turn when near other unit in the same column as this unit is placed. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit gets power plus 5,000 until end of turn. So potentially makes her a 13k booster when you call something to her same column. And then her second auto ability says at the end of the battle, this unit boosted a rearguard. You can Soul Blast one to choose one of the boosted rearguards and return it to your hand. So definitely one of the most useful cards in the deck. You wish you could run more than one copy of her, but obviously you can't. So she can bounce whoever she boosts back into your hand, so that does open up your front row rearguard circle for Petralka's skill potentially. Also lets you possibly reuse some of those on-call abilities for like Melty or Cecilia or whatever. So always a very good card. Next we have one copy of Radiance Pride Ermeli. So she has an activate ability that lets you Soul Blast one and retire this unit in order to choose up to 2 non-grade 1 normal units from your drop and return them to your deck and shuffle it. So the point of this card is to cycle your extra copies of Petralka and or Lysette back into your deck. If you're starting to run out of them in your deck, you can use her to get some of them back in there to potentially find off of Petralka's ability. Again, the skill is a -1 since you have to retire her in order to just put cards back into your deck. But she can potentially help extend your big power plays, so still a very good card. Next we have one copy of Beware of Overeating Eileen. So her auto ability says when this unit boosts a rearguard, look at the top card of your deck and put it on the top or bottom of your deck. So pretty useful card, just letting you scry the top card of your deck and either leave it on top or put it to the bottom. So can potentially help you find some triggers on your deck or just another combo piece that you want into your hand. Have her boost the rearguard that you attack with before your Vanguard, and that'll set up your drive check for that turn. Or if she boosts a rearguard after your Vanguard attacked, then it can potentially help you find a trigger for your damage check next turn as well. So pretty cool card. Next we have one copy of Considerate Committee Chief Shaznay. So her continuous skill says during your turn, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit gets power plus 5,000. So just a 13k body on your board. She can be an attacker, she can be a booster, just helpful in filling up that field. Next we have one copy of Earnest Stare Iveta. So she has her friend ability, which turns both her and any other unit in the same column into friends. And then her continuous ability that says if you have another friend, this unit gets power plus 2,000. So she can become a 10k booster as long as there's somebody in front of her. So usually I like sticking her behind my Vanguard since that'll help your middle column hit magic numbers. And next we have one copy of Preposterous Girl Farcell. So her auto skill, when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, if you have 3 or more rearguards, this unit gets power plus 5,000 until end of turn. So again, temporary power up makes her a 13k base for one turn at least. Though if you do need to put her in front of Yuika, you can bounce her back to your hand to potentially reuse that skill. So our only other grade 1s are our Sentinels, so we do have to run 1 copy of each, so you can pick whichever ones you want, you know, for artwork purposes. But as for me, for my 3 just standard Perfect Guards, I am running 1 copy of Soapy Splash Riviera, 1 copy of Diva of Refreshing Calm Christine, and 1 copy of Determined Cheerfulness Sarka. And then, of course, 1 copy of the Nationless Blitz Order Elementaria Sanctitude, which, as always, you can play without paying the cost if your opponent's Vanguard has triple drive. So that's all the grade 1s. Moving on to the grade 0s. First we have our trigger lineup, which is 7 crits, 4 draw, 4 heal, and 1 over. So starting first with the crit triggers, we do have 1 copy of Precious Tune Edwidge. So crit with a skill at the end of the ballot boosted, put into your soul to give someone plus 2k. Pretty much never use that skill. You don't need the extra soul in this deck at all, so if you want to replace this with another vanilla crit, you can. So as for the other 6 crits, they are all vanilla crits as well. So first off, we have 1 copy of Original Style El Shuka, 1 copy of Astasice Misa, 1 copy of Wings Dancing in the Blue Skies Antia, 1 copy of Grinning Dragon Scale Ilze, 1 copy of Glutton Nora, and 1 copy of Surreal Voice Gilberta. So then moving on to the draws, first off we have 1 copy of Transparent Snowy Knight Baratois. Draw with a skill. If your opponent's Vanguard's grade 3 or greater, get shield plus 5,000. So this is your 10k shield draw trigger, which normally you would run all of these, but since we can't for this deck, the rest do have to be vanillas. So as for our vanilla draws, we are running 1 copy of Aplomb Sight Greet, 1 copy of Thick and Fluffy Siesta Hilma, and 1 copy of Buoyantly Gaming Giselle. So next up for the heals, I am running all 4 vanilla heals. Of course, as always, if you want to run any of the effect heals, you can feel free to do so, of course at 1 copy each. But for my vanilla heals, I have 1 copy of Peaceful Garden Annika, 1 copy of Hushed Diva Hortense, 1 copy of Sigh of Relief Fabiola, and 1 copy of Languid Relaxation Margaret. So then lastly for the over trigger, we have our 1 copy of Fantastic Fernally Katrina. So her additional effect during this fight, you get during your turn, all of your rear guards get power plus 10,000. So powering up all your rear guards until the end of the game, always a good skill. So then lastly for the grade 0s, we do have our 1 copy of the Gem Normal Order Everlasting Sapphire. So it lets you choose one of your units, it gets power plus 5,000 until end of turn, and then you put this card into your soul. So this card is just there for the ride line. You could run True-Hearted Ruby instead if you feel like it, although Ruby is another counterblast cost, and we kind of already have enough of those in the deck. So I just went for this one because it's cost free. So that is the deck. So we will go ahead and have our 1 fight with it. And we'll try Noi this time. And we will be going second.
Stand up, Vanguard. Stand and draw. Ride. Skill 発動. Turn end. 私のターン、ドロー.
Alright, so we'll discard that crit to ride. Our starter skill will let us draw. So then we'll just go ahead and attack.
No guard. Damage check. Ore no turn da. Draw. Ride. Skill 発動. Call. Skill 発動.
And we are going to get rushed right off the bat.
Vanguard にアタックだ.
So we'll let that one through.
Damage check. Vanguard にアタック.
And we'll let that one through too.
Drive check. Damage check. Vanguard にアタックだ.
And as much as I hate to, I think I'm gonna let that one through too.
Damage check.
And now we get the crit trigger. That is wasted. Been nice if that came a little sooner. But oh well. So we'll discard Lyset to ride. And then grade 1 Willista lets us put one from hand into soul, so we'll put Eleanor to search out our gem order. So that goes to our hand. So then we can go ahead and call Melty over here and use her skill to counterblast. And we have to superior call one, so we will call Shaznay over here. And that lets us draw. We draw Yuika, so we'll go ahead and pop her behind Melty. And then we can play Everlasting Sapphire. So I'm going to give one of our units 5k, so we'll give that to Shaznay. And then Willista's skill will let us draw again. So I think we are good, so we will go ahead and attack with Shaznay first. And he intercepts. So then his doll moves to his soul, which, let's check his soul. Yeah, he's got both dolls set up now. So we will go ahead and attack with the Vanguard. And he gets a crit trigger. So Melty can't hit the Vanguard, so I have to attack into his rear guard. And then Yuika's skill will let us go ahead and Soul Blast one. And return Melty to our hand. So since he has both dolls set up, he is going to get 5 attacks this turn. which might not be good, but I'm going to go ahead and let this one through.
ダメージチェック。ヴァンガードにアタック。
And I'm gonna let that one through as
ノー
well.
ガード。ダメージチェック。よし、ドロートリガー。
And I got a draw trigger, nice.
パワ
So
ー
give
プラ
that
ス。
power to the Vanguard.
ヴァンガードにアタック。スキル発動。パワープラス。このターンで蹴りをつけるぜ。スキル発動。
So now he can superior call his dolls from the soul.
スキル発動。
So we're gonna have to go ahead and perfect guard this one.
スキル発動。
So let's see, we'll discard Lyset.
完全ガード。ドライブチェック。ドライブチェック。リアガードにアタック。
And he got no trigger, so neither of his extra rearguard attacks be able to hit our Vanguard. So I'm just gonna
ノーガー
let
ド。
that one through.
ターンエンド。私のターン、ドロー。
Alright, so now we will have to go ahead and discard. So we'll drop. We'll drop Annalise
ライド。
to ride Petralka. So then we'll go ahead and call Melty back over here.
コール。
Want to trigger Yuika's skill
パワープラ
to
ス。
gain 5k. And then Melty's skill will let us counterblast one.
発動。
And we can superior call one from our hand. So we'll go ahead and call Iveta
ステリオルコール。
back over center. And we'll get to draw. So then we'll call Cecilia as well and use her skill
スキル発動。
to counterblast. And draw again. And then we can go ahead and pop Irmeli behind her. And I think we are good. So we'll go ahead and attack with Melty first, boosted by Yuika.
ヴァンガードにアタック。ガード。
So then Yuika's skill will let us Soul Blast once again
スキル発動。
and return Melty to her hand. So then we can attack with Petralka.
ヴァンガードにアタック。ノーガード。ドライブチェック。よし、ドロートリガー。
And we get a draw trigger. So we'll give that power to
パ
Cecilia.
ワープラス。ドライブチェック。ヒールトリガー。
And we get a heal trigger, nice. So we will go ahead and heal one and give that power to Cecilia as well.
パワープラス。ダメージチェック。
So now Petralka's ability will let us counterblast
スキル発動。
and check the top 7. So let's see, we did not find Petralka or Lyset, but we did find Ingrid. So we will superior call her.
ステリオルコール。
Over here.
パワープラス。
She'll gain 10k. And then her skill will trigger
発動。
to let us countercharge one and stand Yuika. So then we can go ahead and attack with. We'll attack with Cecilia.
ヴァンガードにアタック。ノーガード。ダメージチェック。
And then we can attack with Ingrid, boosted by
ヴァンガードに
Yuika.
アタック。
So Ingrid's skill gives her an extra 5k.
ノーガードダメージチェッククリティカルトリガーだ
And he gets a crit trigger that he has wasted.
パワープラス
So now Ingrid's going to put herself to the bottom, but if we use Yuika's skill first, we can Soul Blast again and return Ingrid to her hand instead.
俺のターンだドロースキル発動ペルソナライド
So he does get his Persona ride, but he doesn't have any dolls in his soul.
ガードにアタック
So he's only going to get 3 attacks. So let's see, we'll guard that one.
ガード
ヴァンガードにアタック
And I am going to go ahead and perfect guard that one.
スキル発動
And we'll discard Ingrid.
完全ガード
ドライブチェッククリティカルトリガーだ
We got a crit
ク
trigger.
リティカルプラスパワープラスドライブチェックヴァンガードにアタック
So that's 2 crits, so we have to block that. So let's go with those 2, and we'll have to put that draw with it.
ガード
ターンエンド
スタンドドロー
Alright, so let's Persona Ride.
ペルソナライド
So I am going to go ahead and use Irmeli's ability to Soul Blast one and retire her. And then we can send 2 normal units from our drop back to the deck. So I'm going to send 1 Petralka and 1 Lyset. So those get shuffled back in. And then we can go ahead and call Melty once again, triggering Yuika's skill to gain 5k,
パワープラス
as well as Melty's ability
スキル発動
to Counter Blast, and we'll Superior Call Farcell,
スペリオルコール
and her
スキル
skill
発動
will give her 5k as well. So now we can go ahead and attack with Melty first, boosted by Yuika.
ヴァンガードにアタック
スキル発動
And he perfect guards.
完全ガード
So then Yuika skill once again will let us Soul Blast
発動
to return Melty to her hand. And then we can attack with Petralka.
ヴァンガードにアタック
スキル発
And
動
he perfect guards again.
完全ガード
ドライブチェックよしクリティカルトリガー
And we get a crit trigger, so we will give that to Cecilia.
クリティカルプラスパワープラスドライブチェック
So then Petralka's ability will let us Counter Blast. And we check the top 7, and we did find Lyset. So now we can Superior Ride,
スペリオルライドパワープラス
and she gains 10k. So we can attack again with Lyset this time with 1 drive check. And he guards and double intercepts.
ドライブチェック
That's one to pass. Ah, but it worked. So survive that attack, but he's only got 2 cards left in his hand. And we got one more attack.
発動
Both his dolls go to his soul. So then we can attack with Setcelia, boosted by Farcell, for 42,002 crit.
ノーガー
Oh, and he's got to let it through.
ドダメージチェッククリティカルトリガーだ
And that crit does not save him, so we got him with that one.
パワープラス
私の勝ちねやった
So there you go. That was my Petralka Highlander deck. Like I said, very RNG dependent deck, but it can be quite fun. So anyway, I will be back soon with more deck profiles. I believe next up I will be doing Chrono Jet. So until then, I guess that's all for this video. So lots of luck to you and yours.